Why do you try so hard?
I'm
Why
not.
do you gotta try so hard?
I'm not.
You are. You're trying really hard. You are.
They do have. I mean,
I
obviously some
hate
amazing
Freddie
songs.
Mercury because he sings really good, and I only like bad singers like Jonathan Davis. I don't like Freddie Mercury because he sings so good. I don't like everybody else. I think Taylor is underrated because he plays basic drum beats the entire time. Okay, whatever. That's cool, man. That's all right. Welcome back to Asinine Radio, a weekly podcast where we talk about music, and well, that's pretty much it. So let's go.
Did you say, is it on?
Yeah, because I couldn't tell if it was on from my angle.
Oh, God. Okay. This is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast. This is the greatest podcast you'll ever hear in your entire life, because what we do is we take a different album from a different band every week, and we do all the research you can possibly do. We find out all the secrets about these records, and then we let you all know about it, because that's what we do, because we're cool guys. So while you're listening, go to iTunes, go rate, review, and subscribe to us on there. Follow us on social media at Asinine Radio. Thank you to all who have ever listened and still listen and have subscribed to us. That's awesome. My name is Tyler. Way out there, hundreds of miles away, way out there in the ether, is Jeff. So, what album are we doing today, Jeff?
We are doing Queen's
Why are you laughing?
A Night at the Opera. I'm sure my origin story is much like any youth growing up in the late 80s, 90s is We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. I mean, pretty much like every Little League game that we played at some point, you would do like the boop boop and like you would make up your own little thing for it, not knowing like where it came from. And then the older you start to notice it more in movies at the time, and there's a lot of cheesy sports movies in the 90s. And so you would hear it a lot. That's for sure my first introduction to Queen. Sadly, like I never listened to a full album until like recently, but again, like we knew a lot of their songs and we loved a lot of their songs, like Killer Clean. We named our band off of our original podcast off of. It is what it is, right? All right.
No, it's not.
So that's my origin story, I guess. I don't really have one, but my newfound love for Queen came from, which is kind of cool actually. The purpose of a record store is to introduce you to things that you may never have heard. But my older person origin story is at a record store hearing a song from Jazz, their 7th album, and being like, holy fuck, this is really good. What like 70s or 80s punk band is this? And this is actually Queen, bro. And that was like, wow, these guys I need to listen to more.
Our origin stories are very similar. It was through sports, probably baseball, because that was the first sport I actually played. I mean, We Will Rock You. That is, I mean, everyone knows that chant. Everyone knows the hitting of the fists on a table or whatever. It's so iconic. I mean, so that was my first introduction to the band. But the first time that I ever took notice of who the band was with Bohemian Rhapsody. My mom has always been a Queen fan, and I remember I had to have been like 6, maybe 7, and we were driving around. I don't remember where we're going. It doesn't matter where we're going. But she put on Queen's Greatest Hits, and Bohemian Rhapsody was on there, and it confused me because I remember the bridge, the middle part of the song, the operatic part, when there's one vocal part on the right side and then there's another vocal part on the left side. And as a kid, that blew my mind. Like, how did they do that? And it kind of scared me because I hear one thing over there and I hear another on the left side, and so I was kind of scared. And it was so unique and something I never heard at such a young age, and that was kind of my first introduction. And like you too, like I never listened to any of their records, just only their greatest hits. And those greatest hits, I know every word to those songs because I mean, who the hell doesn't? Because I mean, my mom too. We used to listen to Queen all the time, but she never had like any of their records. She only ever had the greatest hits stuff. So I mean, growing up listening to those two, the blue one and then the maroon one, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Those ones you had those CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the blue one was the better one, I think, because that was the one that had Bohemian Rhapsody on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Whichever one was first, that was the real hits, and then the 70s and then early 80s. The other one was more early 80s and then on.
Exactly. So that was my introduction, and I mean, until this week, I had never listened to any of their records in their entirety, and the only reason I did it was because we're doing this on the pod, and it was fun. It was a good. I mean, I only listened to the stuff from the '70s, but it was a good listen. Overall, it was a good listen. So that's my origin story. So then, what's your first impression on this record, "A Night at the Opera," from the Queens?
This is their most popular. This is their most popular, I think, because it has Bohemian Rhapsody on it. I don't think it's their strongest. I don't think it's truly like their best. But what I will give it is, besides like News of the World, this is the best picture of who Queen wanted to be. This is the best. Mm-hmm. Like, this is truly perfection to them. I think this is what they really, really strive to be, and not just Bohemian Rhapsody, but the album as a whole. I don't have like any stinkers, nothing, but there's a lot on here, and I think this is probably what they felt is like their best that they ever did.
I agree with you on that one for sure, because this is the epitome of Queen. This is what everyone knows Queen as, is this style, the ballads, kind of the fast stuff, I don't know. This is Queen through and through. What everyone would associate with them.
Yeah.
And my thoughts are the same as you. Like, this is not my favorite. I don't think it's their best. But the reason why we decided to go with this was because I had never heard anything, and I thought, okay, we got to talk about Bohemian Rhapsody, so let's just do the record that song is on. And come to find out, it's not my favorite record of theirs, but that's okay too.
I mean, it's
still solid.
Man, it's hard not to even like do Bohemian Rhapsody, because it's arguably like one of the greatest songs ever written. It just is.
Yeah.
It's so fucking perfect. It's so iconic. It's so entertaining to anybody because of how catchy it is, how weird it is. But it's just such a perfectly crafted song, and you don't even realize how long it is until like after it's over, and you feel kind of like exhausted for having like belted out so many of the vocals for the past 6 minutes. So you're right. Like I didn't want to do this one, but we definitely should have done this one, because as much as like everybody is all over Bohemian Rhapsody, it's one of those songs that deserves every bit of the credit that it gets.
Absolutely right. Totally right. I don't have any stinkers on this record, and you said you don't either?
No. Okay.
Do you want to just get into Bohemian Rhapsody right now, or do you want to wait until we get to that as a banger, if it even is a banger for you?
I mean, that's my number one banger. That's stupid not to put as your number.
Is it? Oh, okay.
That's stupid not to put as your number one banger. That's silly. That's just
okay.
That's trying too hard. I have six. I have 6 bangers with 2 almost being bangers, but because the other 6 are really good, I didn't put them as bangers. So I have 6 bangers. Bohemian is my number one banger, just because I think Bohemian Rhapsody is easily top 3 best songs just like ever written, like objectively, subjectively. I think there's nostalgia attached to it. I think it's just a fantastic song. I think it's well written. I think everybody does their part. It's a killer song, and it's hard to argue like against it. And I really tried. Like I really tried to get in here and be like, why is Bohemian Rhapsody not that great? And I couldn't do it.
You can't come up with anything.
I couldn't come up with one fucking reason why it's not that great.
No, I'm with you. This is my favorite song. This is the biggest banger on this one. This is I got 8. I have 8 bangers. Got no stinkers, but I got 8 bangers, and this is definitely number one. You cannot beat this song on this record at all. I mean, where do you want to start?
I mean, like, first of all, there's really not, I don't even know if we've ever done it, but there's not a lot of times on this pod where we find a song that is truly untouchable.
Yeah.
Like, both of us agree that, like, this song is untouchable. Like, Bohemian Rhapsody is for all like the pomp and circumstance surrounding it, for how much time went into making this song is pretty untouchable.
Yeah. And you know, it's crazy. Like this song did take a long time. Well, this song didn't take a long time to put together. It took 3 weeks. And considering everything that went into it, 3 weeks isn't a long time. Not at all. For one song.
That is
this
true.
Complex.
That is true. But don't forget that that's 3 weeks after already doing songs on Sheer Heart Attack, after doing songs on Queen 2, where they ran that tape down to basically fucking the bones of it. So they already had a ton of practice. And essentially all of the layering and the dubbing from Queen 2, Sheer Heart Attack, that was all leading up to Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, that was all practice of the dubbing that would be done on Bohemian Rhapsody. So 3 weeks. Yeah. But like, they had 3 years of practice before that.
True. And also the idea behind Bohemian Rhapsody started because this is a Freddie Mercury song. He wrote this song, and this all began in 1969 in a previous band he was in. This is where the whole idea came about, and so it kind of had been stewing for years until they got to this record, and he finally decided, this is what I want to do. They felt like they could be ambitious enough to do it, because at this point they were completely broke, and they were kind of thinking, let's just go balls to the wall and just do whatever we want, because this is probably the last record we'll ever make. So if it fails, then it fails. But if it's a success, that's amazing. Yeah. So they kind of went into this record with that attitude, and reading more about it, I mean, this song, the three members sing. So Brian May, Freddie Mercury, and Roger Taylor, they all sing on this one because John Deacon's not a singer. So every vocal part you hear is one of those three guys, if not all of them at once. And from what I was reading, they worked for 10, 12-hour days just singing and getting these parts down with all those overdubs. I read something like there were something like 180 separate overdubs on this song. That's insanity. That's even crazy for nowadays. You know, with all the Pro Tools and the unlimited shit you could do on Pro Tools, like this on tape is insane.
Like the whole time listening to Queen, all I thought about was how much we shit on Feldman for overproducing albums. That's what they do. I was like, dude, these guys overproduced all of their albums, like not just like tenfold, but like 100-fold. And like John Feldman overproduces albums just by like, you know, like an annoying amount. Whereas like Queen did it by such like an extravagant amount that it became like an iconic sound. And like listening to them live, like clearly it won't translate as well as it does on album. And it's just, I don't know, man, it's really amazing how much I love the dubbing and the layering from this band.
It is fucking nuts. I read too that by the end of it, the tapes that were being used were 8th generation tapes. So they had it's insane. Like the amount of effort they put into this one song. This is like the equivalent of John Feldman doing like 300 overdubs on Pro Tools.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't work. Like
if
something
even
like this
that, right?
should not work.
And these guys were like cutting and splicing like by hand. A lot of this stuff was doing by hand, and so it wasn't like a
painstaking effort.
Copy and paste thing. And oh man, and like I don't know, dude. Bohemian Rhapsody is just it truly is an untouchable song. Like again, I think that Bohemian Rhapsody is like a top 3 greatest songs of all time. It's just objectively, subjectively, collectively, it's perfect, man. It is absolutely perfect and untouchable.
I know. And regarding like the whole tape thing and splicing, to put it in even more context, is that there were so many overdubs, and when you think about it, these guys had to get it right that one take. Like they didn't have a lot of wiggle room because there were so many overdubs already. So they had to get those takes. It wasn't a matter of let's do this and if it doesn't sound good, we'll just delete that part and then we'll re-sing it. It's like, no, they had to get it down. They had to get it right. Otherwise, it could just completely derail the entire song. Like, seriously, derail it and destroy parts of the song if they weren't in key or if they were off time or whatever, you know? It could really fuck up the whole thing. And, I mean, props to these guys. They did it, and they did it well.
Even
No other
like
band could have done it like this.
going further into that aspect of it, the way I understand it, because I mean we grew up in the 90s, so that like this is like a thing of the past already. So the way I understand it is when you're overdubbing things like this without the use of Pro Tools or Fruity Loops or computers or anything like that, even if one thing doesn't sound quite right nowadays, you can slide by. If something is off by like a millisecond, that's fine. But when you have like 100 different layers, if that one thing is off by a millisecond, that's going to cause everything else to be off by a millisecond, which is adding up is going to be like a quarter of a second, and that's noticeable. You know what I mean?
That's detrimental.
Like, that's
to a song,
noticeable.
Yeah.
So like everything, not just, it doesn't have to be just be like really, really good. It has to just be like beyond perfect. It has to just be so on point. And we shit talk a lot of guys, a lot of producers that overproduce things. And yes, this is clearly like the best example of something being overproduced. But this takes skill, man. This takes skill to do.
And can you imagine the nightmare it must have been to mix and master this song? Not even the record, this fucking song. It had to have been a nightmare. I mean,
there's no way.
Nobody talks about that part of it. They just talk about the recording and all that. But dude, the mix and mastering would have been terrible. I mean, I'm surprised the guy didn't have a fucking nervous breakdown from it. This song is truly, truly remarkable, and like I said earlier, I don't think there's any other band that could have pulled it off like this. Truly, it's remarkable.
So like the engineer for it was this guy named Mike Stone, which we went to high school with a guy named Mike Stone. That's kind of funny, but he worked with a lot of other bands that were really like Blue Oyster Cult. He worked with Kiss, Journey, I think. So like that dude, like you're completely right. It's one thing to be a band, to be very hands-on, because this also was like kind of co-produced by the band itself, as well as fucking Roy or whatever the last name was. So it's one thing to be a band and then self-produce stuff and then make something that you really love, but then it's another thing to say like, hey man, what do you think about this? And then give somebody, dude, like a tub full of tapes with probably like fucking Scotch tape written on them and like markings like play this first and this is second, and you know what I mean? Like here's 45 reels, check it out at the same time.
What a nightmare. What a fucking nightmare to think about it.
I know. There's just no way. Producers nowadays, dude, I feel like an old guy. You have no idea what it was like. We had to walk fucking 15 miles uphill. Like producers nowadays have no idea what it's like to produce like an album that actually took time and like a lot of time.
A lot of time, a lot of practice.
Like Van Weezer was produced by some girl that's like fucking 25 or something like that. Like it's
I read that. Yeah.
So I mean that's really cool, and they're reaching out to like new producers, but like we're in our mid 30s basically.
Yeah.
And like there's just no way somebody in their mid 20s can truly understand what it was like to really dig deep and work hard at producing, because we don't even understand it.
No.
So there's just no way. I honestly cannot imagine how much work it would be just to engineer, just to mix, just to master one song of this capacity. It boggles my mind. It really does.
Not to say that the producers and engineers out there have it super easy, because it still can be a painstaking process. You know, it's not just like, you know, everything's perfect, but you know, in comparing the two, they're just night and day when it comes to difficulty. But I don't know. And just the way that the song's structured too, it's just a perfect build up into the operatic part, into the heavy guitars and drums, and It's a perfectly written song. It really is. It really takes you on a story, even though the story is incoherent. Like really, like I don't know what he's talking about lyrically on this one.
Yes.
Do you have any
agree,
theories
dude.
on that?
No, dude, people have said numerous times like this is Freddie coming out. This is Freddie like telling us that like no. I think Freddie Mercury just wrote a song that he thought sounded really fucking cool, and it just so happened to be like a story. But I think he wrote the music first and then added lyrics later. But he added the lyrics to complement how he wanted to sing, the octaves he wanted to hit, the operatic themes he wanted to hit. I think the story is like the last part of this song you should be focusing on. Like the words themselves are one thing.
I agree.
But the cohesion is a completely
nothing.
separate thing. Yes. I totally agree. I think it's fucking nothing.
I think so too. I think the lyrics are only there for him to hit the notes. Otherwise, they're essentially meaningless. I really, really feel that way about it. And what I think is so interesting about this song too is that so Freddie's idea was like, okay, because he wrote the entire song on piano, and when he said, I guess he was talking with I forgot who the guy was. He was talking with one of his friends, and he was saying, okay, this is the song, and then right here is where I stop, and this is where the opera comes. I don't know how I'm going to do it or how we're going to do it, but this is what it's going to be. And then it just kind of like, that was it. Like there was no more, like they went out to dinner and that was it. And then they touched upon it later on in time. And what I think is so cool about the opera part is that they didn't hire outside singers to come in. It was the three of them that did it. And I think that is just so fucking cool. And that's another thing that I respect so much about this band. If you look at most of the stuff they did in the 70s, every single one of the records, everything was done by the band. Like there was very little outside musicians or singers or anything like that. Like the band did everything. And I thought that was super rad. And this song is like the peak of that DIY, let's do everything ourselves in their songs, because that's difficult. It's difficult, and they did it so well. I love it.
I totally agree. I think this band. I mean, I saw the movie, the Rami Malek movie. And,
I have like no interest in that.
It was cool. It was good. It got me interested, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like Queen's really cool. I get it. And this week I watched the Live Aid performance, and I watched a lot of like live stuff by Freddie. And I honestly, my image or my thought. What I thought was this band is not what this band is at all. And I thought this band was Bohemian Rhapsody with a really flamboyant front man. And like, that's not it at all. And
oh, it's
like,
so frustrating.
dude, there's so much, dude, there's just, I don't even know where to go. There's so much to talk about. Like, I don't know how to corral it in. I guess, but like going off the Bohemian Rhapsody thing is Freddie from like day one of meeting the other half, or I guess 50% of the band, because just Deacon was in the band at the time, but meeting Smile, the band before Queen, meeting Brian May and James Taylor, Roger Taylor.
Roger Taylor.
They all got like boring white people names. Like that's all like the Queen's English white people names. Roger Taylor. Oh, okay.
That was not Queen's English, but that's okay.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Tottenham Hotspurs.
Tottenham Hotspur. But like Freddie meeting those people and then saying like, "Hey, dude, like, do you guys need a singer?" And they're like, "Nah, not really." And then their singer leaves, and he's like, "Are you sure? Because I can sing for you." And then they're like, "Okay." And he's like, also, we should change the name to Queen.
That's how they sounded, too. They sounded like fucking 8-year-olds.
No, because like Brian May and James Taylor at the time, it honestly seemed like when Freddie like demanded to be in their band, they were just like, okay, that's cool, whatever. Because they didn't have like a consistent bass player, and it was just kind of like them noodling around. And I think Brian May and Roger Taylor are fantastic musicians, but I don't think they had the drive. I don't want to say they didn't have the drive, because they did have the drive. They didn't have.
They had at the drive-in.
They didn't quite have at the drive-in like Freddie Mercury did.
Yes.
Freddie Mercury Man, Freddie Mercury, I don't give. Freddie Mercury's the greatest frontman there's ever been, like ever been, ever, like hands down, ever been. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I disagree with you on that, but
you name me one other person. Name me one
David
other
Lee
person. That's false.
David
you
Lee
watch
Roth.
you watch the Live Aid performance, and Freddie Mercury's up there.
I have watched it.
I don't think you have. Otherwise, you fucking would swallow those words and never say those again because that's silly. David Lee Roth can command a presence of 10,000. That's fine, if that, maybe. Freddie Mercury can get
Which is still so amazing.
150,000 people to literally eat out the palm of his hand and on a whim. In Live Aid performance, only 20 minutes. It's only 20 minutes. It wasn't like an hour and a half. It was 20 minutes. And from the moment Freddie Mercury told that crowd what to do with his hands, he didn't even say anything. With his hands, he told that crowd what to do. 150,000 people did it. You telling me, this guy over here, fucking David Lee Roth, says, oh my God. I'm going to move on because you just made me mad. Dude, it is unbelievable. It is this band, honestly, this band is like underrated in their overrating exclusivity.
No, I don't think they're underrated. I really don't think they're underrated.
They are 100%. This band is essentially We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, and Bohemian Rhapsody, with a fuck ton of other songs that are also really popular, like on their greatest hits albums. But when you get right down to it, all of these guys are really, really smart, not just like smart business wise, but just really intelligent, IQ high dudes that knew just not like a lot about music, but like a lot about life. Just very, very wise from an early age, and then also just like very, very smart guys. And this band is, I can't even think of another band that is even like this. Like there's been nobody. There may never be anybody.
True.
And Freddie Mercury is essentially two people. He's Freddie Mercury that we know and love, his on stage persona. And then behind the scenes, there's a Freddie Mercury that's shy, that's quiet, that's reserved, that doesn't like really the spotlight, wants to be left alone, doesn't talk a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like incredible. That's incredible that he can find his outlet in music in this band. And even then, like even the band members like Brian May and Taylor, because Deacon doesn't talk that much. Yeah. They've said like numerous times, like, yeah, like Freddie's our boy, but like he's not like our best friend. He had his own life and he kept very private. Like even they didn't know everything about it. And Freddie Mercury, like, what do you want to talk about here? I'm getting off the rails here. I am. Dude, you gotta hold me in. You gotta reel me in. Reel me in.
I do want to get more into the personal lives because they overshadow a lot of the music, and that's really irritating. But let's because I do want to play the operatic part and like the heavy hitting part of Bohemian Rhapsody, and then we could wrap up this song and then move on. Does that sound good?
Dude, that first like I don't know the hard rock. Okay, so like online, everybody divides Bohemian Rhapsody into 6 parts, right? The intro, the ballad, the guitar solo, the opera, the hard rock, and then the outro.
Yeah.
Like that's how I did my notes, just because that's how I read it online.
It is in my notes too. Yeah,
like
that's how I'm queuing up the song. So because I was gonna start at the guitar solo and then play through most of the hard rock part, and then
okay. So I think the hard rock part, I think that might be the most explosive lead guitar riff of like all time. And explosive meaning it has to come from something, right? The fuse has to be lit and it has to rise up to something. I think that is arguably the most explosive guitar riff of all time.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's truly something else. Truly something else.
It's like fucking 8 seconds long too. It's not even that long, and it's just it's fucking face melting. And just that drum part, that da, 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 just the snare hits, and then it just, I don't know. There's so many perfect moments on this song. Dude, that is a wild ride. Every time I hear it, like I'd never been tired from this song. Never been bored from this song ever. Good stuff, man. Dude, it's just like the high vocals, like right leading into that explosive guitar part, and
yeah,
boy,
It is truly fantastic. And Roger Taylor, he's like, he has some really cool parts on this that are just, that make these parts just, it's the icing on the cake. It's the cherry on top. His drumming, oh my God, dude, it's so simple. It's so basic, but it totally complements the craziness of the vocals and everything else in this song. It's truly remarkable. That's a remarkable song.
That's like the depth of this band. I mean, this band is essentially, on the surface, Freddie Mercury backed by Brian May with some really cool bass lines, but then you forget that there's a really good drummer and like a well-trained drummer behind the kit that can really bring the heat and knows when to just let everybody else do their thing. Mm-hmm. And at a time when these, I mean, Brian, I don't know why he still has that fucking hairdo, but at a time when like big hairdos were so popular, like why do they still have that hair? Why does he still have that hairdo?
It's iconic.
Cut your fucking hair, man. It's ugly. It's disgusting. You're too old for it. It's nasty. It can't even be real. I bet you, like, if he shaved his head one time, if that's even his real hair, if he shaved his head one time, it'd probably never grow back.
I mean, if it is fake, it's interesting because then he went from a black wig to a gray wig. He has
enough money for it.
Well, he does, yeah, but it just seems so silly at that point. It's like, if it's a wig, just stop wearing it. Why switch from a black wig to a gray wig? Why? Which is
because people are fucking weird, man. Like friend of the pod, Nick, the conspiracy theory Nick. He used to have really like luscious long hair, and he had a good lineup, dude. Like a pre-balding LeBron James lineup. Like it was down on halfway down his forehead. Like it was a nice lineup. And he had long hair. He put in a ponytail, like a man bun. Like he folded up like 15 times. And then one time he said he shaved his head like bald and it never grew back.
What?
I swear, dude. That's what he said. And I was like, do you regret it? He says, fuck yeah. Like I never would have cut my hair. I had to know when it was going to grow back.
That's so weird. Oh my God. That's why I think bizarre.
That's why I think like Brian May is quite possibly bald, but he just wears a red. They're from like England, don't they wear like those powder wigs and shit all the time? Like that's what they do. Doesn't Queen Elizabeth wear a powder wig?
She does. Well, at least in the court system they do. Like all the judges, they all wear powdered wigs.
Yeah, like it's a joke, right? Like getting put to death is a fucking game because they wear powder wigs. Like, oh jeez, all right, that's fine. Whatever. Let's not mock the court system of an entire country. That's
why
cool.
not? We do it to our own country. Why can't we do it to the
that is true
British? So,
I mean, dude, like it's like Bohemian Rhapsody's been broken down to almost a fault, and it's like I was reading some stuff that made my head hurt that we're not like music majors and we didn't like get a PhD in musicology, so don't want to get into that aspect. No, musicology. Yeah. Don't want to get into that aspect of it.
You're an idiot.
But it's a great song, so whatever. I
know that some people have broken it down to just every single vocal thing Freddie Mercury did on this song, every inflection, everything, like down to the fucking, I don't even know, just the most minute detail they've broken down in this song when it comes to his vocals. And it's like mind-numbing. It's like, dude, nobody cares that much. I mean, I love this song, and it's fun to talk about the making of it and stuff, but things like that, it's just, it's too much. It's too much.
My first note that I wrote for Bohemian Rhapsody, like my first listen through, I always write like pre notes, and the first thing I just wrote was like shit, and then ... just because I knew it was going to be so much work.
Well, you know what I actually did? Prior to doing the song, like I put this song off as the last song I even look into because I was dreading like reading so much, but it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. Like I had hyped myself up to think like, dude, this is going to be miserable. This is going to take forever, but it really wasn't as bad as I thought. It was a lot, but it wasn't that bad.
I mean, you got to just like draw the line at some point. Yes, you know what? Yeah. I'm not getting into what the fucking diatonic scalage is being used here, and I don't know if that's
or
like a
what
thing,
what kind of range he was using in this song from this note to that note. Why did he change to this key or this note? I don't care that.
It's too much, man. I want to like scratch the surface, but I don't want to completely etch it off.
Yeah, because that's
I'm good
no
with
fun.
that.
So
It's too much.
let's see here. Then
So that was that's your biggest banger, right?
yeah,
that was your 1B.
Oh yeah, it has to be. Has to be.
Okay. What is? I have my computer. What is your two? What is your 2B?
My
what do you
2B
got? What do you got? What do you got?
39. 39 is my 2B.
What?
Yeah, this was
What?
outside of Bohemian Rhapsody. This one stands out the most. Definitely, this was one
Wow.
written entirely by Brian May. He does the lead vocals on it. Wait, does he? Yeah, he does. And it's mostly like this like acoustic guitar with some bass drum or just very minimal drums. It's kind of folky at parts. I think it's a really good song. It was really, really, really good. It never gets dull, never gets boring. And vocally too, it kind of has this kind of ethereal kind of feeling to it. And it's very different. It would seem very different from Queen. I've never heard them do a song like this one. Very, very unique. So I really like this one too. And the lyrics are super sci-fi. They're very they're interesting. They're very interesting. But then they're also I like it. I like the lyrics because you could take them as two different things, as like a space adventure, space exploration. But you could also take it as a metaphor to like his own personal life, coming back from like rock and roll and coming back from touring and coming back to his town, his hometown, and how things have gone on without him, but he expected everything to be the same. Kind of like in the story, it's a guy who goes into space, and then when he comes back, Earth had was on a different timeline, so it went way faster.
Dude, Einstein, man.
So when he when the space explorer came back, his wife had been dead for a while of old age, and his daughter was now the same age as his wife was when he left. And so it's just him talking about like how he sees glimpses of his wife in his daughter. And I just that metaphor I thought was just so cool. It was so cool. Mix it with the song. It was a perfect song. I loved it. Love this song. So
I mean, it's my 5B.
that low,
And-
fuck. I thought you'd love it because the acoustic.
Well, I absolutely love this song. This is a perfect song.
It's
This
so
is
good.
I love it for all of those reasons. It's very folky. It's very country sounding. Dude, Deacon's playing a double bass on this,
yeah.
and like that bass line is loud. So also like okay, so we both listened to this album in very different ways. I have it on the vinyls.
Yeah.
You listened to it not on the vinyls.
True.
Did you? Was Freddie really loud?
Yes, he
were
was.
the vocals really
Yeah.
loud?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was. I mean, there were so many moments, especially on Sheer Heart Attack, and Sheer Heart Attack was the one, and then also Queen 2 were the most notable ones where you could just hear, like you could barely hear the guitars, you could barely hear the nuance of anything, but Freddie was just turned up, and it was annoying. It was really annoying because to me, Freddie is my least favorite part of this band. I'll just say it right now. He's my least favorite part of this band. But yeah, so that sucked.
Oh,
That did suck.
that's weird. But
What was your least favorite? Fucking Roger Taylor or something? Even though he was amazing.
yeah, probably Roger Taylor. He just never whatever. You're fucking
You're dumb.
nah. You're silly.
Um,
This is weird pacing coming off of Best Friend,
Mhm.
and then Brian May singing. I think this song is fucking fantastic. This was a song they did a cappella for one of the Marx
Groucho
brothers,
Marx.
like one
Groucho
of the-
Marx.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fucking weird though. Like that's I don't know. That's
I can't
awkward.
imagine this. Yeah, I can't imagine this done a cappella. I mean, Grouch, because I mean, if you don't know, this album and A Day at the Races were named after a Marx Brothers movie, or taken from, like, inspired or taken from some movies back in the day. So apparently Groucho Marx was a huge fan of Queen, and he invited them over to his house in L.A. 5 months before he died, and so they all visited and hung out, and then they did an a cappella of this. I don't understand at all.
But it's just like, hey, dude, do you want to come hang out at my house? Yeah. Oh, by the way, can you and your 3 friends sing this? Like, that's I don't know. That's awkward.
It's super awkward.
Maybe it wasn't like weird in the 70s. I don't know, but like that's like you don't invite somebody to your house and then make them sing for you.
Yeah.
That's super weird and awkward. But I thought that was funny. But the dude, like the bass in this song hits hard. Like
It does.
it's fantastic, and this song like matches Queen's overall sound more than like one of the first songs that I think is okay. Like the "I'm in Love with My Car" song.
Yeah.
This song just matches the persona like with Queen. Like Queen does a lot of really weird stuff sometimes, and this song's very bizarre. And I mean, I don't want to. Is "I'm in Love with My Car" one of your bangers?
It's my 7th banger.
That is crazy. But that's that, dude. That song like. That song was different, but not different enough to be unique. This song is different and unique, whereas "I'm in Love with My Car" is just like
it's a goofy song.
I don't know. It's like a bootleg rock and roll song.
It's a very
It's
goofy
just not even very good.
I will say right now, some of my least favorite songs on this record are the vaudeville kind of ragtime songs. Those ones I like the least.
That was the only song on this album, "I'm in Love with My Car," that was almost a stinker. But
Really?
it wasn't that close. But that was the closest one I ever got. But it wasn't even that.
I mean,
close.
outside of the lyrics, because they're so stupid. Outside of that, the song is a good song, as long as you get past the dumb
it's okay.
lyrics.
I mean, it's okay. So it was written by Roger Taylor, right? And there's a lot of noticeable drum fills.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
What's
No
wrong with
doy, right?
What's wrong with
No
that?
doy.
You don't get mad
Like,
at Freddie
that's-
Mercury for
that's
doing a bunch
cool.
of cool vocal things. You don't get mad at Brian May for doing a bunch of cool guitar things. Why do you get mad at Roger Taylor? Doesn't make any sense.
It's whatever.
Doesn't make
But
any
then
sense.
other than that, though,
You
this
make no
song
sense.
this song is weird, and then like the there's some like weird vocal raspiness, like bootleg rock and roll blues style that just doesn't match like the instrumentals that Queen's doing, especially on this song. It's just weird. It feels it feels disingenuous and it feels forced. And then there's this fake out ending where like all the cars are revving. Dude, lame.
Come on,
So
it's meant to be
lame.
a goofy song to like. It was almost
That's
like making fun
lame.
of their friend, their crew, one of their crew guys. It was kind of making fun of him. That's what it was.
Then
It's
put it at
not
the
meant to be
end.
taken
That's fine.
seriously. It's not meant to be.
Don't
taken
put it before you're my
seriously.
best friend. Are you crazy?
That's a banger though.
Come on.
But back to 39. I definitely want to play a part of it. But you
Yeah,
mentioned
39 is great.
the double bass part that Deacon played. So what I was reading,
Yeah.
was that when they were writing this song, Brian May went up to him and said, you should learn the double bass to this song. But he said it like as a joke, like just to be, I guess, an idiot about it. And then a couple days later, they came into the studio to record it, and he did learn it on the double bass. And then they recorded it that way.
That's I never like didn't know, but I never knew that Deacon was the way he was. He was the oddball of this group. He was very reserved, and he's always been reserved to like almost a fault, man, to like completely disappearing in the limelight after Freddie died and they stopped really being a band. Like he completely disappeared, and that's no fault to him. He just didn't want to do it anymore, and that's fine. But I never realized like that's who he was from the beginning, like from day one. And that whole like he was credited as Deacon John in the beginning and then changed to John Deacon. But like him being credited as Deacon John, that was clearly not his idea. Like that was everybody else.
No.
Like, hey man, this will be funny. And I don't think he's like a funny guy. I don't think he makes jokes. He's just a very
I don't think
serious
so
dude.
either.
And, like that's just who he is. But like that story of Brian May telling him to do something, you can imagine him taking that literally and saying, "Oh fuck, Brian May told me I should do this. I need to go do it."
I know.
And that's what happened.
That's what he did, and it turned into an absolute banger. So yeah, I'm gonna play a little bit of 39 Smooth from Queen. There you go, 39 from Queen. Dude, this song might break my top 5. I don't know. It's
Queen?
so good. What?
Wowzer. I'm surprised.
Because it's so folky, or what?
Yeah, because there's no hard rock to it. It's just, it's
But
just
when you-
great. I love this song.
when you have a voice like that, I mean, I think his voice is amazing. I really like it, and I'm really interested in getting into his solo stuff because I don't know, I really liked it. I think he has a fantastic voice. It's so soothing and it's so calm and it's not pretentious like Freddie was a lot of the time. I love this song. It's so fantastic. I have nothing bad to say about it. Nothing bad.
So I mean, he doesn't have, Brian May doesn't have a lot of solo stuff, mostly in the 90s, and his voice is nice.
Yeah.
It is good, but he's a one-trick pony. I don't think it's bad, but that sound is all there is. Like his first solo album, I remember because when I first started playing guitar, I really liked his tone, and I want to listen to everything Brian May did. So instead of diving into Queen stuff, I dove into Brian May stuff, which makes sense.
So weird.
So I know he's fine. But he does that sound well.
Yeah.
But it's not always the band backing him up to do everything. I don't know why you hate Freddie so much. Like why do you dislike him? I don't understand. You've had nothing. You have not said one good thing about Freddie Mercury since we've been doing this pod.
I have too.
And then make me mad. George is getting upset.
I think he is one of the greatest vocalists in music ever, if not the best. Objectively, subjectively, I really think he is. But the thing that I've never really liked about him are some of his songs. I don't like the piano ballad stuff. I don't like, and you know me, I don't like the sound of the piano. I think it sounds cheap. It just sounds cheesy. It's just very cheesy, and sometimes he relied too much on it. And it just, some of those ballad songs just are not. They're just so boring, Especially when you know how much potential he had. Like he can do so much more outside of that, but he falls back on it, and I don't like that. And then also, there's I think it's let me see. I think it's "You're My Best Friend." Yes, it's "You're My Best Friend." So that song is a John Deacon song through and through. He wrote it for his wife. And so he played most of the music on it, or he wrote it on a Wurlitzer. That's what it was. So he wrote the song on a Wurlitzer, and they showed it to Freddie, and Freddie, being the little bitch he was during this time, I guess, he refused to play that instrument. Like just stomping his feet, crossing his arms, pouting, saying, "I won't play the Wurlitzer. I will only play a proper piano, a grand piano," or whatever the fuck he played. And that's what he did. Like he refused to play that instrument. And I thought, dude, this guy barely gets any songwriting credits with this band. He has, and the songwriting credits he has have been huge hits. Just fucking play the fucking instrument. You can play it, so just play it. Don't be a little bitch about it. And that was so irritating. Made me like him just a tiny bit less.
You got like half of that right. So yes, he did write it on the Wurlitzer, but that was because he probably just didn't have like a piano in his house. So he wrote on the Wurlitzer, whatever.
Yeah.
And when he brings it to Freddie, and Freddie says like, "No, dude, let's play it on a piano. Let's do it right.
Let's do it. Let's do it the boring way. Let's not have a little fun." So boring.
That's where it like
so basic.
Diverges, and the moment where it is brought to Freddie, because you're right, it's not Freddie's song, but the moment like it was brought to Freddie and he says, "Hey, do this on a Wurlitzer," and Freddie's like, "Why don't we just do it on a fucking piano? The piano's got a more full sound. It's a lot better. They can transition from like a classical piano sound into the hard prog rock style. Yeah. They've done it before, and they will do it better than anyone's ever done in the history of music." And so Freddie kind of knows what he's doing. You got to kind of trust him a little bit. So yeah, they're not like the main songwriters, and there's a give and take here, but you can't just expect Freddie to bowl over and say, "Hey man, sing this song that I wrote and do it the way I did it," and then not expect him to be like, "Dude, the Wurlitzer sucks, bro. Why don't we just do it on a regular piano? It'll sound dope as shit." And then be like, "Ooh, Freddie fucking huffing and puffing." Like, no.
But he was.
He knows what he's doing, bro. You don't know he was.
So instead of doing something different, he decides to do the plain old people Queen thing that he's been doing for the last 6 years, 5 years.
Yeah, the plain old People Queen thing that sold them fucking 80 million copies. You're right. That's
It's still
that's
plain
what,
old people.
You know,
Nickelback have
Yeah,
sold
well, yeah.
millions and millions of records, but they fucking suck, right?
why
They're plain old
Why
people.
did you even say? Why did you even say Nickelback in your argument of comparing Nickelback to Queen? I don't understand. Like, what are you even talking
Because
about?
you just brought up record sales. They've
What are you
sold. They're one of the
talking
most
about?
successful rock bands in the last 20 years.
But they're not more successful than
It
Queen.
doesn't matter. You brought up record sales, so I'm going to bring up
And
record
Queen-
sales too. It doesn't make a fucking
what are you-
difference what
what
record
are you
sales.
even talking about?
It doesn't matter how many records have been sold, because a lot of
What is this many records?
layman
Yeah,
a lot
it
of layman
matters.
people like Queen.
Queen is a band that
Queen
that
are overrated.
transcends record sales.
Queen are overrated.
Why do you try so hard?
I'm
Why
not.
do you gotta try so hard?
I'm not.
You are. You're trying really hard. You are.
They do have. I mean, obviously some
I hate
amazing
Freddie
songs.
Mercury because he sings really good, and I only like bad singers like Jonathan Davis. I don't like Freddie Mercury because he sings so good. I don't like everybody else. And I think Taylor is underrated because he plays basic drum beats the entire time. Okay, whatever. That's cool, man. That's all right.
I'm just saying, he is my
To each
least
his
favorite
own, I
part of the
guess.
band. Not to say
I
he's
know,
bad
'cause
at all.
That's
He's
the
not bad at all.
unpopular. That's the punker kid opinion. That's the goth opinion. I get it.
So
That's the Carson
dramatic.
Daly opinion.
I
that's
love
the
how
Carson Daly
dramatic you're
opinion. I
getting
get
about
it.
this.
Nay, that's all good.
You
You hate Freddie Mercury because he's overrated.
He's overrated.
You think David Lee Roth is a better frontman than Freddie Mercury?
Yes.
That's cute. If you're in front of me, I would reach out with my hand and give you one of those like soft like punches on the chin. You know what I mean? You know what they do?
No, I know what you're talking about.
Like
yeah.
the super the little. That's funny, kid. You go,
And
like
you,
that.
you know why you would be doing that?
I did it to myself too.
You're such a cunt. And you know why you would be doing that is because you're so insecure with your decision saying that Freddie Mercury is better than David Lee Roth that you have to resort to childish tactics like that. That's the way she goes.
No, I told you earlier why I thought Freddie Mercury was the greatest because he can command a crowd of 150,000 with literally just his fucking fists. He can tell a crowd of 150,000 what to do with just his fifth.
They're
Wow.
all a bunch
was
of sheep.
terrible.
They're all a bunch of
Fifth.
sheep. Those people in the
That's
crowd.
true.
But no, Queen are really great. Freddie Mercury is really great. Like all jokes aside, you know, he truly is. He was something special. Really, really was.
I honestly think that Freddie Mercury is one of the most underrated frontman of all time too. And I'll tell you why.
Okay, I disagree. But okay, continue.
I'll tell you why. Because I think that in the 70s at a time, and I mean, like it was inevitable we were going to get into this gay aspect of Freddie Mercury and coming out and things like that. And he never did come out. He never
No.
did come out and say that he was gay.
Because nobody's fucking
And it
business.
was just, but that's I mean, you know that's not the way the world works, and that especially when you're in the limelight,
Yeah.
especially when you're somebody as popular as Queen, and especially when you're somebody as flamboyant as Freddie Mercury was.
Yeah.
And the movie kind of like set the stage for me, but I never realized how reserved Freddie was behind the curtain,
Yeah.
how personal he was, how much he wasn't Freddie Mercury behind the curtain. Freddie Mercury was his stage name
Mhm.
at best. I'm like he was like a stripper. Like Freddie Mercury was his stripper name.
Yeah.
And behind closed doors, he was something completely different. And dude, I was reading articles. I'm taking it's on the internet, so it has to be true. But I was reading articles about people throwing like razor blades on stage, wanting Freddie Mercury to cut himself because
Oh yeah, I read that.
he is
too.
gay, and they don't like him being gay. People flashing like weapons at him, like knives, like guns, outside of clubs. Like, hey, aren't you the guy that's the lead singer for Queen? Yeah, and they flash like a gun, saying, like, oh yeah, and they would say, I hate, and then throw out like an expletive of gay people at the time, and like I don't know a lot about the history of England, of the Queen's English over there, but I don't think like same sex relationships were even tolerated, let alone maybe even legal at the time.
No,
And so
what I was reading, even like
for-
things like sodomy were illegal in England at the time.
Even in America, it was. I mean, I'm sure like Texas probably it's still illegal. Maybe in Arizona where I live, I don't know, but it's just to be yourself at a time when it wasn't okay to be yourself is something. And the whole hippie culture is fine because the hippie culture didn't focus around being like homosexual. It was just everybody loves everybody, whatever. Whereas Freddie Mercury, he dressed a way where like that was only the only thing people thought about. And so like we talk about people now that come out as gay and say, "Oh, I've had it rough." Like imagine how this dude had it. Imagine how this dude had
the
it.
limelight,
like the biggest fucking rock band on earth in the mid 70s. And this guy is still getting razor blades thrown on stage because people want him to literally cut himself to death because they don't like gay people.
It's
and
terrible.
that's a side, but he still comes out, man. He still comes out night after night, commands a crowd, loves the energy. Even your boy Kurt Cobain, even your boy Kurt Cobain in his suicide note was like, I don't like music the way Freddie does anymore. I don't feel that people like me the way people like Freddie. And I'm telling you, dude, you probably haven't watched it in a while. Otherwise, you'd be singing a different tune. But that Live Aid performance,
I've seen it. I've seen it.
I know you've seen it. I saw Cape Fear when I was like 6. I know you've seen it.
You're so
you may have
dumb.
forgot what it was like. I know you've seen it. You probably forgot what it was like, but I take that back. You definitely forgot what it was like because watching Freddie command that audience is unreal. Unreal.
I know. I've seen it.
You don't know because you keep saying, I swear to God, say I seen it one more time.
I've seen it
one more time.
I seen it.
Fucking A. I seen it when I was like 6. Yes, I get it, Tyler. I get it. Dude, watching Freddie command that audience is something that, who else has done that? Who else could do that?
I mean, hey, man, it's wild.
Hundreds of
it's wild.
You don't even understand how many people were there. It wasn't like
understand.
a fucking sold out. It was you don't understand because you're sitting here like, David Lee Roth.
Do you want me to say it again? Do you want me to say it again?
Fucking
I've seen
David Lee, you're so silly.
I've seen it,
dude. David Lee Roth is out here like commanding a presence of like 2,000 people at the Roxy or some shit.
You're making a fool of yourself.
Whereas Freddie is commanding like
a
small city. You're so silly, Tyler.
You're making a fool of yourself.
Like legit, this may be the silliest you've ever been.
Hey man,
to not think that Freddie is even in the question of like top 3 greatest frontmen of all time.
He is. He's top 3.
Silly.
Yeah. He's top 3.
But to think that Dave, I mean, I think you just said that just because it was like a knee jerk reaction. So I'm gonna give you that pass because that's not right.
It goes David Lee Roth.
Maybe Robert Plant would be on the same level, but David Lee Roth, come on, dude. No, come on.
Well,
that's 100% false.
I mean, it's not, but okay, we can move on. We can move on from this because you're getting fussy. You're a fussy boy tonight about
because you're laying out these. I don't know, why do you not like him? What is it about him that you don't like?
There's nothing.
Is it the vocal range? Is it the phenomenal vocal range? Is it the crazy melodies he writes that are super catchy?
I already kind of told you.
I don't understand.
I already kind of told you. But
is it his stage presence?
I already kind of told you
that he looks fantastic on stage.
And
he's not even that flamboyant at times. Even at the Live Aid concert, he did that's like arguably one of the best performances that any rock band has ever given. And he's out there in like just jeans and in a tank top, like he's not even flamboyant. People are like, Freddie, who's the gay guy from Queen, right? Like okay, maybe he's just wearing jeans and a fucking tank. Like I guess I don't know. He's ugly for sure. I'm gonna give you that. No, he's not a good looking dude.
He was an ugly man. He was an ugly man.
He's ugly as fuck, but
Yeah. It has nothing to do with his singing and his performances. No, I mean just like his
so
lifestyle.
You hate his singing. That's what it is. Okay,
no,
you hate his singing.
I already told you what
performances.
I already told you, but you clearly don't listen. You just keep going back to the same things.
You just don't like that he's good at the pianos, but you're saying you don't like that he writes good ballads.
I don't like the ballads. No,
he wrote Bohemian Rhapsody, arguably the best song of all time. How does Bohemian Rhapsody start, and how does Bohemian Rhapsody end?
I know.
On the piano. But go ahead, keep telling me how much you don't like his piano playing. I'll wait. You can't see my fingers, but I'm doing the chin thing.
I know what you're doing.
I'll wait.
I know.
I'll wait.
What you're doing. I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of ballads. Piano ballads specifically. I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody obviously is the exception because it's way more than just
the greatest ballad of all time.
It's way more than just being a piano ballad. I mean, we literally spent like 35 minutes on that song. So
it is, But at its
So
core,
why
Bohemian
why are
Rhapsody
you
is a
freaking
ballad.
out? Why are you freaking out? Like
Bohemian Rhapsody is a piano ballad.
I agree with you. Like probably I've agreed with you like probably 95% of the time on this pod, and yet you're just like you're losing your mind. Like you're probably gonna you're about to have like some sort of breakdown, like a pure meltdown.
No, it's true.
For like no reason.
I have a
For, like,
ruler
no
in my
reason.
hand. I have a like. There's just a ruler in this office. I have a ruler in my hand because it was just sitting here, and I'm like pushing it back and forth, making like a rubber ruler. You know, like the rubber pencil. You like bounce it up and down.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking
I know
about?
what you're talking about. Yeah.
But I'm holding the ruler at the end of it and like going it back and forth to the point like it's almost gonna break and snap in half. Like I'm so irritated.
That's not my fault.
That's what I'm doing.
It's
right
not
now.
my fault that you're
No,
being
it's-
dramatic.
It's 100% your
No,
fault.
it's not.
That's why I'm doing
You're
this.
just being a dramatic person for no good reason. That's fine.
No, you're being a Carson Daly for no reason.
That's fine.
You're
I'll paint
you're
my
being
nails.
counterculture for
I'll paint my nails
for no
all day,
reason
every day.
than just to be like counterculture and think that you're cool.
That's fine with me. It's fine with me. I'm not the one
If you want to
upset.
hate Freddie Mercury, that is fine.
Clearly, it's not fine with you.
Yeah, it's not fine.
Oh boy. Okay. So what's your 2B?
You're my best friend, baby.
Okay, that's that's my 4B right there. So let's get into that. I mean, we did touch upon it actually quite a bit already. Yeah, this is one written by John Deacon. Obviously, didn't sing on it because he's not a singer. But this is a very pure and innocent love song to his wife, who he just married like a couple months prior to the recording of this record, and it's so
And
nice.
he's still married to.
And he's still married to her. Married in like 1974 or 75, yeah, and still married. It's such a cool. Like I don't know, like no Beatles song has this kind of just carefree, like love song, like that's just so pure.
Playfulness.
Yeah, but this song is just, it's straight up comes from his heart, so authentic.
You know,
I love it.
it's kind of weird. It's kind of interesting, I guess, because I mean, like, arguably, like the two biggest rock bands of like all time. You could say like Zeppelin and Queen
Yeah,
are definitely up there in that conversation. And what's really interesting is like JPJ and Deacon are both very like they've had long-term relationships through the height of fame that even other bands that are wildly popular will never achieve.
mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
and
It's something about bass players.
Maybe, and just like the how humble they both are and how similar they are. I mean, JPJ has done. He's never really retired from music, and he still makes music. But you know, it kind of seems like their personalities. Like they were both the quiet ones of the band. They didn't party as hard.
Yeah.
They were very subdued. But when they wanted to shine, they could do it really well, and they could be really effective at it. But they were never the stars. But they never wanted to be the stars. It seemed. It's really cool.
I mean, even like Deacon, I was reading that even after like Freddie died and decades later, he was never like involved with the band outside of maybe like 3 shows. Yeah, I think he's played like 3 to 5 shows
Mm-hmm.
with Brian May and Taylor since Freddie's died.
Yeah.
And other than that, he's done like the financial aspect of Queen, and they reach out to him when they have like financial questions or whatever. But other than that, he's totally cool, just living his life and never being the bass player from Queen again.
Yeah, and I read too that it's estimated that he's worth like $170 million. I read that too.
He probably lives in like he probably rents a condo somewhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's that type of person. Like,
A guy who hasn't put out a record in 30 years, you know, and you know he made so much money in the 70s and 80s, and he just fucking chills now, and that's cool. It's super cool. He just lives with his wife, has like 4 kids, I think, something like that, and just keeps quiet. Just doesn't rock the boat. Nothing.
I think a lot of his reclusiveness has to do with like Freddie dying too. I think people take death differently, and I think Deacon took it very, very hard.
I think so too.
And I think he saw that and was just like, I'm done. That's it. I'm out. Because I don't want this shit to happen to me.
I feel like Deacon and Freddie were more alike than people give them or people really think, because like like we were talking about earlier, like Freddie was very flamboyant. He was very outspoken. Well, not outspoken, but like when it came to concerts and stuff, he was very out there. But on a personal level, he was very quiet, reserved, and that's how John Deacon was too. I feel like they kind of were the same person on a personal level.
Yeah.
You know, outside of, you know, sexual orientation, they were very much the same person. And I think probably losing Freddie, losing such a close friend, or just losing somebody that you're so alike with, like maybe that just like sent him over the edge and just never quite recovered, or never wanted to, or who knows? I mean, this is all speculation, but
it's I mean, like the more episodes we do of this and the more musicians we get into, and like I always go back to Buck Owens losing his friend.
Yeah,
and it's people never recover from some things, and it's not like cool, but it's very interesting to see which bands and which band members don't recover from the loss of like another band member. And like, you know, when Bonham died, honestly, it didn't really seem like anybody really cared that much for that long, but like it seems like Deacon really was affected by Freddie's death.
oh yeah, definitely seemed that way. But yeah, and I don't know. Should we play this song, You're My Best Friend?
Dude, You're My Best Friend is such a banger of a song, and I still like that hook. I still sing that like all the time. It's one of my favorite things to sing by Queen.
It is. It's a really fun song, and everyone knows it. And I don't know. So here's You're My Best Friend from Queens of the Stone Age. There it is. You're My Best Friend from Queen. The John Deacon song. The good song.
Oof.
So what do you got? What else you got? We've got anything else on this song, or should we move on to the next? What do you think?
No, it's fine. We can move on. What's your 3B? What you got for 3B?
The Prophet song, the Prague song, the long song.
Oh man.
So I mean, we don't.
Was, dude, that was a song that I didn't know if I was gonna rate it a B or an okay song.
Why is that?
But man, this song tries really, really hard. But like it's really dope and it's layered perfectly. The band comes in really hard. And honestly, the first time it came in, like it really scared me. Like I was frightened. Like I jumped a little bit. But I don't know. Like I like a lot of these stupid overproduced songs, but this is even more overproduced than fucking Bohemian Rhapsody.
I feel like it was less fussed over. You know, like it's almost like the younger brother of Bohemian Rhapsody. This is like the goth brother, the younger goth brother who doesn't really fit in, you know, to Bohemian Rhapsody. It's
more intricate than Bohemian. It's just not as catchy.
It's not as catchy, but it has some really awesome parts. I mean, to me overall, the song is very Black Sabbath sounding, but of the Dio era, because Freddie and Dio, they generally sing in higher registers, especially Dio. So I kind of got that, and Freddie also sings like more coarsely in this song, and then the riffs and the song itself is very Tony Iommi and very kind of like metal, very metal of the mid 70s of Sabbath, you know. And this is before Dio was even in Sabbath, so it was really interesting. It's a really different song, and I feel like nobody would ever talk about this song unless you were talking about this record and
yeah,
kind of the recording of this song or the writing of the song. So it was written by Brian May, and it was he actually started writing it during the Sheer Heart Attack sessions, because at the time he contracted hepatitis from a dirty needle, from a vaccine, a dirty needle from a vaccine. And so he had to, you know, he was bedridden, he was in the hospital, and he was having these crazy fever dreams, and that was the inspiration for this song. And it kind of like it's kind of intertwined with Noah's Ark and the flood, the Great Flood, and just has a lot of Bible connections and relations. And it's such a weird song, but I love it. It is just so unique to this band. And it's definitely a throwback to like their first record. I feel it's very unique. They never wrote a song like this after this album, or after this song.
No, I totally agree. I think this is the most ambitious thing they ever did.
Yeah, probably the most prog thing that
it just wasn't as catchy as Bohemian.
No,
But I mean, if we're just even talking about like just how ambitious and weird it is, the whole like delayed vocal layering middle part.
It's so cool though.
Yeah.
Oy.
Excuse me. God bless the Queen. Thank you. So the whole like vocal layering part of the middle area when he's like, now I know. This was the first time I ever heard this song was on vinyl when I picked it up and I was listening to it and it goes on for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's long,
right?
But I love it.
And you're just like, what the fuck is this? But you don't understand what's going on. Like you don't know when it's going to end. And usually with a lot of these bigger bands, even with Zeppelin, you can kind of guess where things are going to go. When you listen to enough music, you can guess where they're going from here. You can say, okay, I get a solo's coming after this.
Yeah.
Or you can revert back to this. You can kind of guess things. But this one just kept fucking going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I still don't know if I love it or if I hate it. But I was sitting there like, what the fuck? Is this still going? And just kept going and going, and the delays, and then not even having a computer to synthesize those delays, but using the tape itself to delay your own voice. Yeah. Like that type of in-depth, hands-on approach it's unbelievable, man. Like this is an unbelievably complex song, and more so, I think, than Bohemian Rhapsody. But it will never get its due. It never will. It never will.
Because it's not nearly as catchy.
Damn,
that's what it comes down to. It's not nearly as catchy.
It's so fucking weird, though. It's so weird.
I was, because much like you, once it got to that acapella section in the middle, I thought, like, okay, I thought it was like maybe one kind of verse of that, or maybe like 5 or 6 lines. But no, it does keep going. You're like, oh, this is getting goofy, but I still really enjoy it. Like, I'm still hooked. I'm still intrigued. Yeah. Like you want it to end, but then you also want it to continue because it's so bizarre. And it just sounds like he's like fucking around. Like, it doesn't even sound.
It does, yeah, that's what like it is. It sounds like he's just goofing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I wish I time-stamped it for the acapella. You don't happen to have the timestamp, do you?
I don't. This reminds me of a Seinfeld episode when Kramer and the car salesman were on the freeway, just seeing how far they can go when the gas light comes on the rental car.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? Like one more exit because they're on the freeway. And they one more exit. That's what this song is like. It's just you think like, okay, that was good. You guys are done now. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now you've got to be done. And it goes on for like 2 fucking more minutes.
I know, it's so good. Oh my God. I'm trying to find the acapella part right now. Hold on 1 second.
And then like after the acapella part's even over though, I can't even believe they still made music after that. Like the acapella part to a normal like prog band to like Yes would have just drowned it out and then bled into another song. But to revert back into the same song, like that's almost like the best part. It was just such a long break, and to still be able to keep that attention afterward.
Yeah.
Like,
and
how?
It says that the acapella part is 2 minutes and 30 seconds long of an 8-minute song. So I'm not going to play the entire acapella part. I'm going to start it with some of the music leading up into it, just so we can get the weirdness of it. So it's like, if you want to follow along, Jeff, I'm starting at 2:33 in the song. So here's a part of the Prophet song from Queen. So here we go. There you go. There's a bit of the acapella part of the Prophet song. Truly a bizarre song, but I love this song.
A minute and a half more of that.
I know. It's so cool, man. And then the instrumental part that comes right after it, I think it's really cool too. It's not as like catchy and memorable as Bohemian Rhapsody's instrumental part, but it's so rad. This song it's like such a rad, forgotten prog song. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So,
okay.
Well, I mean, do you got anything else on this one, or what do you think?
No, I think it's fucking bizarre, man. Even like the instrument that Brian May plays is called a koto or koto.
Yeah.
And it's in the intro and
like
the
Chinese
outro parts
instrument.
of the song. Japanese stringed instrument, but it's like it's got like a curved bridge or some shit, and it's I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen
there's
those
probably
before.
like 1,000 fucking instruments that are stringed that look like a guitar. I don't know. I feel like every episode we do, we always bring up a new one. So whatever
true.
that's worth.
Okay, then. So so that was my 3B. What do you got for your 3B?
What is my 3B? Gotta scroll. Oh, lazing on a Sunday afternoon.
That is
Probably
a
hate the song,
3B
though.
for you?
Yeah. Yeah, he hates it. He hates it.
This
He
is-
said earlier that you hate that vaudeville shit. So.
Dude, this is like this is on the verge of a stinker.
Mm.
Like this is ooh. I
So
can't believe you like
what
this
I
one.
like about this, is the piano, man. The piano kills
oh my
it.
God, fucking piano.
that-
this fucking
that-
guy.
That staccato vaudeville, dude. That's fun shit. There's a lot of
Mhm.
nuance to this though, too. Not just like the
Mhm.
bicycle bell, but this is super layered, and like the backup vocals are super layered, and everything's great. Brian's solo is fantastic. It's pretty at first,
Mhm.
and then it sort of like changes the dynamic of the song to be more hard rock, and then it transitions so perfectly into "I'm in Love with My Car," which is a dumb song. But
it's a
like,
way better song than Lazing on a Sunday.
I'm in Love with My Car is just dumb. It's unnecessary.
That's 'cause you're
and
dumb.
Omit it. But dude, Lazy on Sunday Afternoon is just so fun. And it's just, I don't know. It's so lighthearted, and they do a lot of these songs on this album too. There's like 3 or 4
Yeah.
of them. Like Seaside Rendezvous is kind of the same way. There's a lot of these type of songs on this album. I love them. I think they're great. I think Freddie, not just because he can play the piano, but I think Freddie's voice can match just about damn near any style of music.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he did have that talent to where he could really sing anything. There was nothing out of his abilities. Honestly, he killed it. He absolutely because he he could do something as wonky and quirky as this vaudeville thing, but then like what we were just talking about with the Prophet song, that his voice on that song is so coarse and it's so rough, but it's still very, very melodic. It's crazy what he was able to do. It's remarkable. But this song, come on, man. It is the shortest song, so that was a good thing. So 1 minute and 6 seconds for this one. That's all you need. That's more than enough for this song. But
Hey, don't hate us because you ain't us.
but
okay.
what I did think was cool about this song, so his vocals were recorded. Let's see how I wrote this. So he somehow. So it was sung in the studio, but it was like somehow reproduced through the headphones in a tin bucket somewhere else in the studio, and then the mic.
Yeah, I
picked up the
understand
sound
what
of the
fuck
bucket,
he was
yeah.
saying there.
So it gave it like this megaphone sound, and then so that was recorded that way, and then apparently to get that guitar tone was kind of by accident, I guess, because Brian May ended up recording that guitar solo on the actual vocal track, so it had a different. I guess it was equalized different, or it was like set up differently. It wasn't meant to be, or a guitar was not meant to be played on that channel, but he ended up playing the solo on that channel, and that's how you get that weird tone. Yeah, it's pretty weird stuff. Weird song.
Okay,
but
well, fuck it. We don't talk about that much. Then.
I mean, it's a minute song. I mean, what else do you want to talk about on it?
That's fine. My 4B's Good Company. You like Good Company?
I do,
If
but
someone
it's not
gets
a
Good
banger.
Company.
It's not a banger for me, but it is a good song. It is a Brian May song. So
That's why I think it's so weird that you liked 39, because 39 was one of like the outliers, the weird song by Queen.
it was.
Like all of
yeah.
my favorite ones are the weird songs that don't sound like your normal Queen stuff. 39, Seaside Rendezvous, Lazy on a Sunday Afternoon, Good
Yeah, but-
Company. These aren't like your normal Queen songs.
They're
That's why I was
not.
surprised they could like 39.
But the vaudeville thing, it's fun for a little bit, but it gets to be a little much. And this one was kind of the same thing with the vaudeville Dixieland thing that they were doing. It was cool. I mean, the ukulele was an interesting instrument to use on the
Banjo,
song.
ukulele.
Was it a banjo ukulele? Okay, sorry.
It was a banjo ukulele, like a specific brand that like Brian May's dad used while playing in bands and shit. Like it was a banjo ukulele,
Yeah,
and it
I mean,
has
that's cool.
such a unique sound. It's an unbelievable instrument that I never knew existed until this week. And I want one so bad.
It would be pretty cool to have. It would be. But
It just looks fucking cool.
I've never even seen what it looked like. Did they actually like mass produce them?
I don't know.
Banjo.
Brian May did like a 2-minute video on how they did this. Like Good Company's fucking banger, dude. So like So there's a bridge, a solo part here, and this song has a very, I don't want to, it's a very like Showtimey song, like a tune, like something you hear on like Broadway or somewhere like in New Orleans, and the bridge part, the instrumental part, you hear a lot of different sounds. You hear like trombones and tubas and everything, but it's all guitar. It's all Brian May's guitar.
Yeah,
everything
really
that
cool.
you hear in that part is all guitar, and you hear like that long drawn out iconic trombone sound. That's a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian May was like specific in his his approach to the song, that he wanted everything to sound as much like the jazz that he grew up with, that type of Louis Armstrong swing jazz. And dude, the song is unbelievably good, and it's a little bit shorter, and it's a little bit goofy, but there's stuff here that they've never done before, and they never did again.
It's true. Yeah, no, it is a very experimental song. Definitely. I thought that, I read about how he manipulated his guitar to sound like the instruments, but in the song, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was like an actual instrument, like one of those instruments that it's trying to sound like. And so reading about it just kind of blew me away, because it's so rad.
So did I.
So cool.
I legit thought there was like brass instruments being played, and I didn't think anything of it. And then I was reading, what the fuck? That was a guitar? What part? I didn't hear that. And then I listened to it again. I was like, that's a guitar?
Damn. It's like some early Tom Morello shit right there.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
With little to no effects. And then like that whole part, Brian May said that he recorded essentially every single note separately from the other ones.
Oh yeah, I read that.
So he
too.
dubbed like all of these individual notes to get like a super pristine, crisp sound.
Yeah.
And like we hate that shit. Like we just don't like that stuff. But in the 70s, it's a completely different ball game, and that's respectable, and I love it. I love that.
I do too. So, I guess this would be a good way to transition into his guitar. Like his guitar that he built with his dad. It's so rad. Not only the guitar.
He's like 14.
Exactly. Not only the guitar, but he doesn't use picks, which we've talked about on the pod before. He uses a sixpence.
Plectrums.
Yeah. So he uses a fucking coin, and he just carries around these coins just in case he needs to play guitar, because he doesn't want to use a pick. And then apparently he only likes the coins made from 1970. So there was a series in 1970 that was made, and those are the specific ones he uses. That's so wild.
Stupid.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He's the red. I think he calls it the Red Special.
The Red Special. Yeah.
And it's like the only guitar he records with. All the big concerts, he always uses it for the big songs, and it's just there's not a lot of guitarists out there that don't have 15 guitars that are accessible to them by their stagehand during performances, and it's so basic, but it's so comfortable, and he looks extremely comfortable using it, and it's such a fucking rad thing, and it looks great, and I think Brian May's tone, I think is perfect.
Oh, I agree.
It's just the right amount of distortion. It's warm sounding, but it's not like hot like Van Halen sounded.
Yeah.
It's just very family. It's very family in the distortion tree. Love it.
Yeah, and then reading like kind of some of the parts that he used for the guitar, he used like I think it was like part of a bike seat for the tremolo bar on it, and then I guess there's another part of the guitar where he used another part of a motorbike, like not the chain, but like some sort of spring. Like he used like all these like random parts from these just things, just to build this guitar. It's so cool. It's so fucking cool. I've never heard of any person doing that. Even now, you might get like some outlier, some dude, who doesn't, I don't know. Nobody famous does anything like this, It's always some dude in his garage or basement. But
you just don't hear about people building guitars from like the ground up. You hear about people like finding old guitars and refurbishing them. Maybe like getting a new neck, and they'll get like a nice piece of maple, and they'll finish that up. but you don't hear about somebody like literally just taking a block of wood and carving a fucking guitar out of it.
It's rare. And then building everything else or making everything else. Like I mean, I didn't read much about like the pickups or anything, but did he make his own pickups for the guitar? I really don't know, but I don't know. It's wild. It's so
maybe
cool.
I would assume that he probably like bought like shitty pickups and then probably like unwound them and then wound whatever by himself and then maybe like modified stuff. But
yeah,
I don't know about like that. But I mean, I don't know. Who knows, dude? The dude was like a smart, like he was one of the out of the four members. He was arguably like not the smartest electronic wise, but just an overall very smart guy.
Yeah.
Deacon was for sure the electronic whiz.
Well, he's the one who had his
And,
own company
like,
outside of Queen. Like,
yeah, he created that iconic amp that Brian May loved so much, but then even like Taylor, he was basically a dentist.
I
He
know.
went to school and was basically a dentist before this started. So, like this band is just full of guys that would have still had a very illustrious, successful career had they not been in Queen.
Yeah, I feel like out of the four members, Freddie was the only one who had like the stereotypical job or the stereotypical lifestyle of like, you know, something related to art or like fashion or like something that was more closely related to music. But no, you know, Brian May was like he got his degree, his bachelor's degree in physics back in the 70s. And then, you know, like you said, dentist for Roger Taylor, and then Deacon was like this electronic virtuoso of the time. And then Freddie was an art guy. It's just like it's such a weird combination of just people in general.
It almost makes you think like if Freddie saw something in Brian May and Taylor to the point where he's like, I need to be in this band. Because for somebody, I mean, you don't see it that often, even though we just saw it last week with like Dez in Black Flag and stuff following and then being in the band. But Freddie following the band Smile and then seeing something in this band like, wow, this is a really fucking good band. I'm going to keep going to these shows. And hopefully their lead singer leaves. That way I can like jump and swoop in and take over. And then being so adamant about, hey, Brian and Taylor, you need to pick me up because we're going to be big. And then making them change the name.
Do you know what I'm thinking? You know what it's very similar to is when is with the Chili Peppers is when Hillel died. How Frusciante was a huge fan of the Chili Peppers. Like he followed them. He went to all their shows. He was a huge fan of them, knew all their music, knew all of Hillel's parts. And then when he overdosed and died, Frusciante was just there, just ready to go. So when he auditioned, he got the part, he got the gig right away. And it was like, you know, a dream job for him. I feel like maybe the stories are similar. I feel. At least.
Yeah, definitely similar. I think like, I don't even know how to like put it, but I think like talent knows talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think somebody like Freddie's talented. There's no argument about that. Freddie's extremely talented, and I think somebody on that level sees something in other people. And so when Freddie sees, you know, Brian May jamming with Smile, he says that guy's better than he even knows he is. And so now it's like a push and pull. Because you're right, like John Frusciante joined like what their third or fourth album on Chili Peppers.
Yeah, I think Mother's Milk was their third, right? Mother's Milk was their third.
But then from there, like Chili Peppers were already known before that. But after Frusciante joined, I mean, Chili Peppers are going down in history. Like I mean, we're talking like history. Yeah. So, dude, talent knows talent, man, and that's a good comparison. I dig it. I like it.
So, yeah. Oh, you know, Good Company was actually a banger for me. So I'm sorry, I was looking at something else, but it was my sixth banger. So,
okay,
just throwing that one out.
Okay.
Do we want to talk any more about this song?
No, that's cool. We can probably not play any more of these songs. Just go over some of the bangers. That's
okay.
Fine.
I mean, I'm fine with that too. There's nothing I really want to play in particular. Yeah, there's nothing I really want to play because, it's fine. So what else do you want to talk about?
What is your 3B? What's your 4B? Did you say? Did
My
you go over it?
3B. Oh my god, dude, where am I? My 3B was Prophet Song. 4B was. Where the fuck is my dude? My notes are out of control.
Out of control.
Out of fucking control. Yeah, my 4B was You're My Best Friend. So we already talked about that one.
Oof.
5B
What's your 5B?
was. Oops, what's this one? Sweet Lady was my 5B. Only because I liked the verses a lot. They were very catchy. They actually reminded me a lot of the Rolling Stones, which was pretty cool. And then the chorus kicks in, and it just really takes a turn, like that weird guitar riff, and it just sounds different and just very weird. And then actually reading about it more, the reason why was because it was in two different time signatures. It went from a 4/4 to a 3/4, and apparently Roger Taylor was like very thrown off by it when Brian brought it to the table, and he ended up saying like this is one of the most difficult songs for him to play out of all of Queen's catalog, which I thought was so weird and interesting. But no, this is a really good song. It's a solid song. I wasn't expecting it, and I just love that riff and that chorus. It's so smooth and so heavy. I really like it. And then the bridge comes in with that riff again, and he threw in some like weird sounds, and then it double times into the solo, and then it just ends with that instrumental outro. I love it. It's so good. It's a great song.
This is weird. This was almost a banger for me, but I think this is a filler song, but I think it's one of the best filler songs I've ever heard. I think it's absolutely killer. But I mean, just like coming off like 39 and then just knowing what's left on like side 2, I think this is presented as a filler song, but again, it's so fucking good. Like everything you said, I totally agree with. And then also like supposedly you can hear the chains on Taylor's drum kit while Deacon plays the bass lines, because it was like suggesting it was recorded live. My copy isn't like the best, so I didn't hear it either, and I refuse to listen to it on Spotify because I don't give a fuck. So I didn't quite hear it.
Yeah, I went back and I tried to listen for it, but maybe I wasn't listening hard enough or closely enough. But yeah, I didn't hear it. So.
But yeah, dude, you're right. Like the song speeds up and starts to really shred.
It does. The
solo is so rad.
It was so unlike Queen. Like you never really hear them double time it like that out of nowhere. Like there's usually like a build up to a double time, but it came out of nowhere. It was very, very different for them, which was cool. I really, really, really liked it. So it was a good song.
Good song.
I mean, lyrically, most of this record, I don't feel like it's too deep. I mean, you might agree with me.
Did you think like this was going to be deeper than it was?
Yeah. Considering
I did too. I totally thought I was gonna read these lyrics. I'm like, holy shit, dude, Freddie writes some fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I really was. I had that in my mind because he's so famous and he's so well loved within everybody. So I really thought there was going to be more lyrically, but overall, it's pretty generic. Yeah, it's pretty generic.
Yeah.
So
it's not bad. It's just very generic.
No, not bad at all. Not Poison bad. Definitely not like that.
I don't think anything's Poison bad.
What?
I don't think anything is as bad as Poison.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Probably the worst record we've ever done. Okay, so what do you got for your 5B?
My 5B was 39.
Oh, okay. So we talked about that one.
My 6B is Seaside Rendezvous, which you probably don't like.
Yeah, that was one I'm not into.
It's another one, baby. That ragtime sound, man. I love it. It's bizarre. I imagine like jazz hands, and I imagine like Main Street at Disneyland when I listen to this.
Yeah, I can see that. The
goofy.
The one thing that I thought was cool though was the bridge, because it was just Freddie and Roger's voices that did all that.
Oh, so
that part was
good.
pretty cool.
They're just their mouths. They're just using their mouths.
Yeah. And then another thing I read about this song, Brian May had nothing to do with it. Contributed nothing to the song. That blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. But it was good. I mean, it's a good song. but it's not a banger. It's better than Lazing on a Sunday. Yeah, much better than that song.
On a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So that was your 6, right?
Yeah, that's my 6B.
Yeah, my 6 was Good Company. That was my 6B. So we talked about that one.
That's it.
That's all you got for you.
That's
okay,
it
so
for my Bs.
we don't have to talk about the songs, but my 7B was In Love with My Car, and then my 8B was Death on Two Legs, about their ex-manager. So there you go.
This was a really good fuck you song though. Like Death on Two Legs. Yeah. That was a really good, maybe even like one of the best of its time. Like a really good fuck you song.
Yeah, it really, really was. And it
didn't hold back like at all.
But it wasn't like overtly like offensive or mean or using any sort of, cursing, anything like that. It was weird.
My favorite line of that song was when he says, "Was the fin on your back part of the deal?" And then he yells, "Shark."
That's so childish.
I know it is.
Oh, that's great. All right, you ready to wrap it up and then rate it?
Yeah, dude, wrap it up, rate it, subscribe it, whatever.
Okay, so we have a 3-point rating system where 3 is a perfect album, 2 is a good album you're going to continue to listen to, 1 is a bad album but give it a shot, and 0 is just terrible trash fire. Don't even bother. So what are your final thoughts on this one, Jeff? And then your rating. Go.
Yeah, so my final thoughts on this album and this band is I'm way late to this game and I'm upset because I really like this. I like the pomp and circumstance, man. I think that a lot of bands try and do the Queen sound and they just can't pull it off. I think a lot of the flamboyance, like your boy David Lee Roth, I think a lot of this stuff comes from like Freddie Mercury. I think Freddie Mercury like started it. I think Freddie Mercury pulled it off better than anyone's ever done and will probably ever do at a time when people hated him for doing it, but also loved him. It was probably, I don't know, the percent of half and half, whatever. But I think Queen are overrated in their hits, but severely underrated in their other songs. I think they're just something special, man. I think there's so much more to them than what we know. And to be honest, like what we know as Queen is first and foremost Bohemian Rhapsody, and then it's We Will Rock You and Champions. So given that, it's tough. It's tough to dissect this group based on their hits because the hits are good. Like they're real good. But
yeah,
like these guys made some really weird shit that is also really good. So, for whatever that's worth, it is what it is, as Tyler says. Are we doing the ratings too right now? We're doing the ratings too. This is like, if you pulled Bohemian Rhapsody out of this album, I'd probably go like 2, honestly.
Really, that low, huh?
Because, yeah. Because I mean, but that's not even fair to the album either, because that's an integral part of the album.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'll do 2.5. I don't feel comfortable going anything less.
Interesting.
I would only go higher.
I thought you were going to give this a perfect. I really thought you were going to give it a perfect.
No.
Wow.
No, this is not perfect. This is not perfect.
Huh. Okay. All right. My final thoughts on this one. This has been a fun week. There were some low points, but it's okay. It's okay. It happens with these bands. I'm still not like totally on board with Freddie Mercury. I still think he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest singer in music. But, like I was saying earlier, the ballads just don't do it for me. They're just not that interesting to me. But this album was good. It's not their best, but it has some really great moments. Like I was saying, 39, Bohemian Rhapsody, obviously, the Prophet song. Those 3 songs right there, I feel, make this entire record. Those are just unstoppable songs. They are absolutely perfect songs. There are weak ones like the vaudeville stuff. I think is like throw one song on there. That's all you need. You don't need to do more than that. So that was a little much. But overall, it's a solid record, and I was really kind of blown away at how good the other members are, not just with their main instruments, but also vocally. I had no idea that Roger Taylor and Brian May had lead vocals on any Queen song. I think that was so cool, and I was so blown away at how good some of those songs are, not just on this record, but every record that I listen to. Those songs stand out, and they're almost as good, if not better, than some of the Freddie songs. It's really cool. Not many bands can pull that off, but they did. So this song, it's overrated. I mean this album, it's overrated, but it's still great. It's absolutely great. And I'm gonna have to give this one a solid 2.5 as well. 2.5. It's the vaudeville, man. The vaudeville just kills it for me on this record.
I'm fucking surprised you gave it so high. That's
I mean,
that's impressive.
I will say News of the World and Jazz, easily a 2.8. Easily a 2.8. But
wow.
But this one, no. I just
wow.
There's too much goof in this one. Too much goof. So that's what I got. That's what I got. We both gave it a 2.5. So, oh boy, we got anything else to say about this one, or what do you think?
No, we pretty much did it. That was it. That's all.
I mean, we could have touched
We're doing
upon
it here.
We could have touched upon so much of their personal lives, but I think we touched on enough. Like we don't want to
10 hours long. There's no way.
It would it would take away from the actual record itself. Like we could have talked about Freddie Mercury's personal life, everybody. Like that would have just taken way too long, and it's irrelevant. Honestly.
Yeah.
To this album, but so yeah, thank you all for listening. Go to iTunes, go rate, review, and subscribe to us on there. Follow us on social media at Asinine Radio. And yeah, I got nothing else. So that's it. That's all. Roger Taylor.
They all got like boring white people names. Like that's all like the Queen's English
True.
white people names. Roger Taylor. Oh, okay.
That was not Queen's English, but that's okay.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Tottenham Hotspurs.
Tottenham Hotspur. Why do you try so hard?
I'm
Why
not.
do you try so hard?
I'm not.
You are. You're trying really hard. You are.
They do have.
I hate Freddie
songs.
Mercury because he sings really good, and I only like bad singers like Jonathan Davis. I don't like Freddie Mercury because he sings so good. I don't like everybody else. I think Taylor is underrated because he plays basic drum beats the entire time. Okay, whatever. That's cool, man. That's all right. It's unreal. Unreal.
I know. I've seen it.
You don't know because you keep saying. I swear to God, say I seen it one more time.
I seen
it one more time.
I seen it.
Fucking A. I seen it when I was like 6. Yes, I get it, Tyler. I get it. Dude, watching Freddie command that audience is something that. Who else has done that? Who else could do that?
It's wild.
Hundreds of you don't even understand how many people were there. It wasn't like a fucking sold out. It was you don't understand because you're sitting here like, David Lee Roth.
Do you want me to say it again? I've seen
David Lee, you're so silly.
I've seen it,
dude. David Lee Roth is out here like commanding a presence of like 2,000 people at the Roxy or some shit.
You're making a fool of yourself.
Whereas Freddie is commanding like a small city. You're so silly, Tyler.
You're making a fool of yourself.
Like legit. This may be the silliest you've ever been.